Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Talking Cardboard. My name is Cory, and in today's review video, I am taking a look at one of the brand new games released at GenCon 2024, Video Game Champion. Okay, and like I said, here we've got Video Game Champion, one of the brand new Gen Con releases from this year in 2024 that has gotten me really excited to review here because it's got a lot of fun tile drafting and card drafting elements to the game, and it's really hard to come by a very strategic, fun drafting game for me in particular, and this one definitely fits the bill. It plays 2 to 5 players. It plays in about 50 to 90 minutes. It's right in that sweet spot of about 1 to 1.5 hours of play and plays up to 5 players, which is fantastic. So I've got it set up here on the table today just to explain a brief overview of what the game kind of looks like as you're playing it, but it's not 100% accurate rules teach for every single small rule, but it'll give you a good taste of what to expect in the game. So the game at its heart is very simple. You're just trying to get the most games either played or beaten by the end of the game to get the most points. And you've got these goal cards up here at the top for these different goals or missions you're trying to do as well to get points. And that's pretty much the heart of it. You've got the games here on display. Some of the games you can buy that have gems on it. Some of the games are just available for rent. In a full game, we would have 15 of the games set up here to kind of choose from. Some of them start the game face down, some of them start the game face up, but here for display purposes only, I didn't have enough room to show everything on camera. It definitely is a table hog of a game, but I wanted to show just kind of the basic idea of how the game is played. So the first thing you do on your turn is very simple. You just grab a tile out of the center of the map here and place it in front of you, and then you do one of the two actions that are either in that row or column from the tile you just picked up. There are, as you can see here, 8 different actions. There is a 9th tile here that just has to do with turn order and turn order for the next round and so on and so forth. For example, a complete round is after each player has taken 3 tiles and done 3 actions, then that round is over and you reset some of the tiles and flip over some more of the cards for the games you can rent or buy and that sort of thing as well. One other thing I wanted to touch on here is this row of cards, which are basically game magazines to help you beat the games or help you play the games. You know, just like back in the 90s, this is definitely 90s nostalgia for me. You had magazines that would help you try to give you different cheat codes or different pointers on how to beat the game, and that's exactly what these magazines are here. So for example, let's go over the 8 different actions that you can do, and hopefully the game will start to make more sense after that. Okay, and starting with the first action tile down here, what does that tile do? It is you can receive a present, but you have to take 3 IOU tiles. And the IOU tiles look like this. They're not necessarily a good thing because it either means you have to owe your parents or your grandparents back for the present that you had gotten, either with chores or doing your homework or other things to try to get rid of these things. And essentially what that does is you have an imaginary 4x2 grid in front of you that at any one time, if you exceed 8 total tiles, you have to discard down to 8. So these are basically just blank tiles that you can't do anything with, but it holds up a slot in one of your 8 slots that you can hold. So that would be 3 IOUs for a present, so take up 3 of the slots. Then the present would be just receiving one of these video games for free. Another action here is take 1 IOU and $2, and I'll get into why money is important here in a second. This action here with the timer on it, you can swap one of your tiles with any other tile on the map, and then you get to go next in turn order for the next round. So for example, I'd put my other cube on the next round turn order, and then that is showing that I will then get to maintain the first player spot for the next round. The next tile action here is you get to go to grandma's house and you get to get rid of one of your IOUs and take $1 from the bank because grandma is helping you kind of clear the water with your parents a little bit here and help you out, and then also give you some money to go out and buy another video game. So that is that action there. The 2 owl icon is studying or doing your homework, and that allows you to get rid of 2 IOUs from your player area, so that is very handy as well. Another thing you can do is buy a magazine to help you beat a game, and to purchase that, it costs $1 to purchase any one of these magazines. Put it into your play area there. This is take 2 button tiles, not from the display area, but any 2 button tiles at random from the button tile bag. So you just take those at random, put them in front of you, and now you've got 2 additional tiles to work with towards trying to play and or beat games doing that action. And then the last action is either rent or buy a game. To rent a game, it costs $1. To buy a game, it costs $2. And all that's telling you is that these are the games here in this row that are for rent. These are the games in this row that are available to purchase. So to purchase these, it's more expensive because you own the game. No other player can play the game or rent it to try to play or beat the game. That is only available to you for the rest of the game. And you also get one of these nifty gems that you can play on your passwords sheet here as well to try to get various bonuses throughout the game as well, and try to build up different combos for victory points on that also. So that is really neat as well. So getting into actually playing and beating the video games, how that works is, for example, let's put this tile back here. Let's say, for example, I wanted to grab this tile here to rent a video game. So I grabbed that blue 4. To rent a video game, it costs $1, so I put the dollar away. Now I would take one of my meeple figures here and place it on top of any one of the video games that I'm looking to either play or beat. And for example, the difficulty of the video game is on the top of the sheet, or on the top of each video game there. So the 2 skulls means it's medium difficulty. The 1 skull means it's easy. If there were 3 skulls, it's a very difficult video game. Some of these video games up here to purchase are actually very difficult. That just means that they require more tiles to beat the video game. So for this one, easy difficulty, you are either looking, like I said, to play or beat the video game. For this example here, it only has a 2 tile requirement in the bottom of the video game here, so you cannot ever beat this video game. It's a basketball game. You typically don't play it to beat it in its entirety. You just play it for fun. So the only available option is to play this video game. At the bottom of the video games here, it pretty much tells you if the tiles have to be in a specific order. Like if you have to have a straight of numbers, then it would be like A, B or A, B, C, D. And then if it's got question marks, then it can be any numbered tiles, but it's got to be all of the same color, and so on and so forth. Some of these, like you've got AA, so the A's have to match the same number, and the X's have to match the same number for that. So that is how you play or beat video games. For example, here, if I wanted to rent this video game to play it, I would simply put my meeple on it. I don't purchase the video game by spending that dollar here. It does stay in play, but as long as I've got my meeple on it, then nobody else can put their meeple on it for that entire round. So basically, I've got that locked in, like I rented it, brought it home, and I'm trying to play the game or beat the game while I'm at home, and then my meeple will come off in the next round, and then other players have a chance to put their meeple on top of it to try to play or beat the game. So for example, if I'm renting this video game here to either play, which these first 2 tiles I would have to have the same suit, either to play or beat the game, I would have to have 4 tiles all of the same suit. I can now attempt to do that for the entire round, and nobody else has access to that. So I would be then taking out my turns trying to get tiles of the same suit, essentially the same color, in order to at least play the game. So for example, if I then picked up this tile here, I could get rid of like an IOU, for example, and take $1 from the bank. Now on my next turn, I could play these 2 tiles to the trash can because they're both blue to play the game. Or I could try to save up for, let's say, 4 blue tiles to just beat the game in one shot. But in this one, I would put a play button on it. Like I said, if I did 4 tiles of the same suit, I would actually put an award token on it. I would just flip it over showing that I had beat the game. You can only ever beat the same game once throughout the entire play of the game, of this game. So that is that. But if I played the game, why is that important? Well, looking at some of the missions over here, for example, you've got play 3 shooter games or play 3 sports games. So you can get victory points, end game scoring, just by playing 3 of any particular type of games. For example, this soccer ball in the corner here is showing that it's a sports game. So it's basketball, sports, and you're just basically trying to play enough games to match up to that to get those. This is, you've received 3 gifts throughout the game, and This one here, it's worth 11 victory points at the end of the game, but it's showing that you need to at least have 7 IOUs in front of you by the end of the game, so that's kind of neat as well. And this is just collecting all 6 different types, playing all 6 different types of genre of video game for 10 victory points there. So just by playing a game, it not only helps you achieve those missions, but it also makes it easier to beat the game in the future. So on a further round, for example, if I had, let's say, these tiles in front of me like so, and in a later round I try to go there and beat the game, because I've already played the game and gotten experience playing the game, now this tile counts as 1 wild tile toward any of those 4 that I would like. So for example, if I spent these 3 red tiles, I would only need 3 and not 4 because I've already played the game 1 time. Therefore, now I have beat the game, and that is showing at the end of the game I will get 8 victory points for beating that game. All beaten games count as played games, for example. These mission cards here, like I said, by playing 3 of a particular genre of game, for example, as soon as you have played and or beaten 3 of that type, you immediately collect that card. You are trying to be the first player to do that, and then nobody else can achieve that mission. So that is pretty much how the game works there. And like I said, if you are purchasing games up here for $2 instead of $1, you are taking the game card along with the gem to your player area, and then nobody else can go after that game for the rest of the game, and you also get to place the gem on your passwords cheat sheet here to try to get bonuses as well. So that's pretty much the generic game flow, gameplay, the way the game works. Like I said here too, you've got these magazines, strategy magazines that'll help you complete different tiles as well. They all have 2 symbols on it. This one has a pink symbol and a green symbol, so sports or a platformer game, and you can choose one of those symbols to be a tile towards the combination that you need to either play or beat a game as well, so that helps with that. And it's all about just kind of comboing and taking the right tiles at the right time to take one of these actions that you can at a specific time before another player takes it. Because like I said, when you take a tile from the main board, you only have access to the action that's either in the same row or column as the tile you took. So you don't have all the actions available to you at all times, so that makes it real tricky. And then also, just playing against your opponents and maybe seeing what achievements they are going after and trying to get to those achievements before they do as well is really the crux of the game and really the meat of the game. The other thing too is everybody starts the game owning the game that came with the system. So everybody owns Meow. It's a neon cat that they just own. So you can play and or beat this game at any time throughout the game. Nobody else has access to that. They each have their own Meow game that came with the system. So that's pretty much a generic overview of how to play the game. Let's get to my thoughts on it. Okay, my final thoughts here for Video Game Champion. I've got a lot of positives to say about it and not a whole lot of negatives, so I will just start with the positives here. The game, like I said, it plays in 50 to 90 minutes, so it plays very quickly, plays very smooth. It has a lot of neat decision making, and the decisions are not just with yourself, it's also in what your opponents are doing, so I really appreciate that as well. It is simple tile set collection and spending those tiles to either play or beat video games or try to get different amounts of points throughout the game. So it is just basically that, but I feel like this game provides enough variability, setup variability with the tiles and the games that come out at different times that it brings a fresh, unique strategy to the game each and every time. One other thing I forgot to mention during the overview also is that if you at least just play a game, you also get a free tile from this tile row up here as well. So that's a nice, neat way to kind of boost the amount of tiles you have and your combos and your actions you have to keep the game moving very quickly and to try to race to those different points before your opponents do. So that is a really neat thing as well. So that's another pro for me. It does bring a lot of strategic depth and a little bit of tension to the game, trying to decide when it might be best just to try to play a game to get that extra tile or try to race to these different missions by playing different kinds of games versus trying to save up to beat a game, because you only get endgame victory points for a game at the top of the game card if you completely have beaten the game. So, essentially playing a game, it costs 2 tiles to play it, but then it's only worth 1 of those wild tiles. So essentially to beat the game, then you are spending 1 extra tile or 5 total tiles instead of 4, but it might be kind of beneficial to play it first to gain one of these tiles and or some of the missions before your opponents can get to it. So I really appreciate that about the game as well. The artwork is really cool. It's really nostalgic. That's another pro for me. I am a 90s kid through and through. I was born in 1989, so most of my childhood was all through the 90s playing these 90s video games, and I just love the artwork. I love the theme behind it is very strong. It does really feel like you're going to the video game store or like a Blockbuster or Video Update to rent these games and bring them home to try to play them or beat them, or getting a gift from grandma at Christmas to get these cards with a gem on it, and also getting these magazines for cheat codes and strategy guides on how to better play the game is very thematic as well. So I feel like for how simple this game is to play on the surface, I feel like the thematic depth is definitely there. It really feels like it is just dripping with theme. It feels like you are playing these video games and trying to, do your homework to get rid of these IOUs and try to balance all that with a very tight gameplay of a game. I've only got one con for the game so far, and really that's just, like I said, it's variable setup every time, and the game feels different enough every time playing with different people, but you do see all of the video game cards by the end of each and every game. So there aren't any new combinations of video games or any new curveballs or surprises that'll pop up when playing the game. You see the majority of the magazines and the video games each and every play. So there's no really variable with that or variability with that. But, if this game does provide some expansion content here in the near future, I think it'll keep it nice and fresh with that variability and seeing different cards and tiles pop up when. I think the actions are still great and variable enough, and it's just, like I said, it's a very attention heavy and kind of stressful with what tile to take, and you might take some tiles once in a while that you don't necessarily need just to get a specific action. So I love that kind of push and pull to your decision making, but really the con is that you will see each and every card every time you play the game so far for the content that's available. So that's pretty much my final thoughts here on the game. What is my final overall rating of the game so far? Well, I am happy to say that this is a solid 8 out of 10. I really, really enjoy the game and highly recommend you pick it up and give it a try. I know it's a brand new GenCon release here to the States, so not a lot of people have seen it in stores quite yet, but when you do find a copy of it that you can get your hands on, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Like I said, I highly recommend at least picking it up and giving it a try. If you like set collection games or games where you're trying to combo to get points and race to get points versus your opponents, if those three things sound exciting to you, then I think this game will really sing for you. And my 8 out of 10 could really grow to be 8.5, 9, or higher over time with more expansion content. This is definitely a keeper in my collection. I'm not going to get rid of it anytime soon because I enjoyed it that much. And it was really a surprise hit for me. I do love the artwork and the theme behind it, and obviously it's more of nostalgic for me, for example, growing up in the 90s, but even theme set aside, I think it is a really solid game mechanically speaking that can really sing for a lot of people. And yes, it's a table hog and looks intimidating. Its presence is very intimidating with the amount of things on the board or the things going on the table, but give it 5-10 minutes, wrap your head around each different section of the table on what you can do, and after that it's a very streamlined and easy game to grasp the concept for. So that's it for today's review of Video Game Champion for me. Like I said, it's an 8 out of 10. I highly recommend you seek it out and pick it up and try it for yourself. Until next time, you all have fun gaming and enjoy your day.